The man you see here, discreetly peering into a home with a gun in hand, is 32-year-old Nicole Cunnigan Jr. He is about to commit one of the most evil crimes, killing the mother of his twin children while she is 4 months pregnant with his baby. In the early hours of May 22, 2024, a tragedy unfolded in Dayton, Ohio, that would shake the community to its core. What started as a heated argument over a car between a former couple escalated into a horrific act of violence, leaving 3 lives lost in a devastating moment. At around 6:20 a.m., Dayton police responded to reports of gunfire at a home on Shaftesbury Road in Dayton, Ohio. But what awaited them was a sight so unimaginable. 32-year-old Precious Taste, a mother of 7, was 4 months pregnant with her 8th child. She had been shot dead multiple times by Nicole. What was even more chilling was that she wasn't the only victim. Laying under a blanket with gunshot wounds was 16-year-old Deontay Johnson, who had been innocently sleeping over at Precious's house that night. But here's where it gets even crazier. Just moments earlier, Nicole had been released on parole for stabbing someone in the stomach. How could someone with such a dangerous background be free to walk the streets again? Before the evidence unfolds on screen, let's return to the very beginning of this tragedy. Precious Nicole Taste was born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. A devoted mother, Precious had 7 children, including a set of twin 4-year-olds. At the time of her death, she was 4 months pregnant with her 8th child. A year before her tragic passing, Precious had made significant strides in her life. She had worked hard to improve her health, losing over 200 pounds, and focused on providing a better future for her children. Her journey had been one of self-improvement, hard work, and resilience. She was known for opening her home to friends and family, offering a safe space for those going through tough times. Precious was the type of person who would invite people in and host gatherings, making everyone feel welcome. But beneath this life of love and dedication, Precious had a difficult relationship with someone. 32-year-old Nicole Cunnigan Jr., the father of her youngest children. Known to friends and family as Nico, Nico had a violent history.
Look at that. Bite you. Oh my God. Say that. When they
Their relationship went on and off for years, but Precious wouldn't be spared of his violence. Nicole, in 2022, attacked her while she was pregnant, stabbing her in a vicious assault that nearly ended her life. Despite the severity of the attack, Nico was sentenced to a relatively light charge of felonious assault, and after serving his time, he was released on parole in January 2024. But just a few months later, he would go on to commit the unthinkable. May 22, 2024 started like any other day. Precious, her 4-year-old twins, and Deontay Johnson, a 16-year-old family friend, were in the house when tragedy struck. The night before, Precious had argued with Nico over her car. She told him she was keeping it and that she was moving on. Nico didn't take this well, and the tension between them escalated. At approximately 6:20 a.m., Nico arrived at Precious's home, furious and determined to make his presence known. Precious was in the bedroom when Nico confronted her again, but this time the argument turned violent. The sounds of fighting woke up Juwan Lauren Washington, a friend of Precious's who was sleeping on the couch. She overheard Precious and Nico shouting about the car. Then Nico left the bedroom. Moments later, there was the sound of breaking glass, followed by gunfire. But something chilling would happen. Precious started screaming. Juwan, frightened, ran to the basement, but the sound of gunshots continued to ring through the house. Precious, desperate for her life, came running down the basement stairs, pleading with Nico. "I'm sorry, please no, I'm sorry," she begged. But Nico didn't stop. He continued shooting. As Precious's final moments unfolded in the basement, Deontay, who was asleep upstairs, also became a victim. He was discovered later by the police, still under the covers. At first, officers didn't even realize he was in the room, but when they pulled back the blankets, they found that Deontay had been shot too. He was holding a gun, which became a key piece of evidence in the case. Could this be seen as an act of self-defense? Would Nico claim that Deontay was armed and threatening him? By the time the police arrived, the scene was already of horror. Precious was found at the bottom of the basement stairs, her life taken by multiple gunshot wounds. Deontay's body was found upstairs, covered by blankets, and the shock was compounded by the discovery of a gun in his hand. As the police processed the scene, they discovered that all the bullets fired had come from the same gun. 4 shots were recovered, 2 from the victims and 2 from the scene. Forensic experts testified that Precious had been shot while positioned below the shooter with the gun barrel pointing downward, confirming that the gunfire had been aimed at her from above. The coroner also revealed that Precious was 14 weeks pregnant at the time of her death, marking the murder as even more tragic due to the unborn child lost that day. In the immediate aftermath, the Dayton Police Department launched a massive manhunt for Nicole. He had fled the scene in Precious's car, a white Chevy Malibu. The car was found abandoned in Trotwood, but Nico was nowhere to be found. His criminal history, which included felonious assault, weapons violations, and child endangerment, only added to the urgency of his capture. Police warned the public not to approach him as he was considered armed and dangerous. The search for Nico intensified, with law enforcement agencies working together to track his movements. As the days turned into weeks, the pressure to find Nico mounted. The community was in shock, and the families of Precious and Deontay were left to mourn their losses, trying to come to terms with the violence that had struck so close to home. As weeks passed, the search for Nicole Cunnigan Jr. continued across multiple states, with law enforcement officers tracking every lead, checking tips, and following every possible clue. Dayton Police, along with the U.S. Marshals and the Southern Ohio Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team, pursued the fugitive relentlessly. The public had been alerted to Nico's distinctive appearance, 32 years old with red and white dreadlocks and an armed and dangerous history.
We have new information this evening and a shooting that killed a pregnant woman and a 16-year-old boy.
To say it's upsetting, and I just can't imagine what the mother of these folks and the family and friends are going through.
And tonight, investigators want to catch that woman's ex-boyfriend.
Good evening, I'm Cheryl McHenry.
And I'm James Brown.
Police told News Center 7's Mike Campbell they are looking for 32-year-old Nicole Cunnigan Jr.
And Mike joins us live with more on what he found out today with this case. Mike?
Well, James can tell you that this case is just becoming more tragic the more things we learn about the police investigation and what happened. Now, you mentioned police still looking for Nicole Cunnigan Jr. at this hour. He's also known as Nico. He's still on the loose. And police also told us today that he is the father of 2 twin 4-year-old children with his victim, Precious Taste. Now, at this hour, I can tell you that Precious Taste's family and friends are preparing to actually do a balloon launch in her honor. Now, police also told us today that they believed that Cunnigan Jr. is also the father of an unborn child with Precious, which would mean police say, yes, she was 4 months pregnant when she died.
To say it's upsetting, and I just can't imagine what the mother of these folks and the family and friends are going through.
Dayton police told us this man, 32-year-old Nicole Cunnigan Jr., known as Nico, went to the home on Shaftesbury twice Wednesday morning. The first time he argued with Precious Taste, his former girlfriend and mother of his children. Officers say he left but came back armed with a handgun at 6 a.m. They believe he broke in a side window, pictured here, and almost immediately shot and killed a 16-year-old family friend, Deontay Johnson. They believe he then went and taste with their shared children in the home.
They are twins. I believe they're around 4 years of age.
Police said Nico then left the home in a vehicle they found ditched in Trotwood a couple hours later. Investigators told us Cunnigan was already on probation for stabbing Precious Taste back in 2022. Police said it was not the only time he was suspected of abusing her. But this was violence on another level. It shocked family and friends that filled the street outside the home. It also shocked neighbors.
It was something special about her. She was different, but I also noticed that she was unhappy.
Police are hoping they can quickly track down a man that is clearly armed and dangerous.
He his longtime girlfriend, the mother of his children, who is pregnant with his child. He murdered her. So if he will do that, he will murder anybody.
Back live here again, we are waiting for the family and friends of Precious Taste as they prepare to do a balloon launch in her honor and in her memory. We will bring you details of that at 11. A couple of other notes. Police say if anyone out there sees Nicole Cunnigan Jr., they do not want you to approach him. Simply call police or dial 911. One other note, this crime happened yesterday on Wednesday, May 22nd. Records indicate that that was, in fact, Nicole Cunnigan's 32nd birthday. Reporting live, Mike Campbell, News Center.
The case gained widespread media attention, and tips from the public began to pour in. One significant lead placed Nico in Richmond, Indiana, while another reported him traveling north towards Cleveland. Investigators monitored surveillance footage, checked traffic cameras, and reached out to Nico's known associates, but Nico remained elusive. The urgency to locate him grew as each passing day felt like a lifetime to the grieving families of the victims. Then, on July 23, 2024, the breakthrough came. Ohio State Highway Patrol officers spotted a silver Chevrolet Equinox driving recklessly near Kinsman Avenue in Cleveland. The vehicle had been linked to a recent armed robbery, and the driver matched Nico's description. Patrol cars attempted a traffic stop, but Nico, knowing the law was closing in, refused to pull over. This sparked a high-speed chase through the streets of Cleveland. With the patrol cars in pursuit, Ohio State Highway Patrol's aviation unit tracked the SUV from above, providing updates to officers on the ground. Nico weaved through the streets, but eventually he abandoned the SUV near Lakeview Avenue and fled on foot into a nearby wooded area. Officers, including a special response team, gave chase, and the U.S. Marshals and Cleveland police quickly closed off escape routes. Around 3:20 p.m., officers located Nico hiding inside an abandoned home. He surrendered without incident. His red and white dreadlocks, the signature look that had been plastered all over the news and social media, were gone. Nico had cut them off in an apparent attempt to evade identification. The manhunt had come to an end. After being taken into custody, Nico was booked into the Cuyahoga County Jail. Nico's arrest marked a crucial turning point in the case. Within days, he was extradited back to Montgomery County, where he would face justice for the murders of Precious Taste, her unborn child, and Deontay Johnson. The gravity of his crimes was reflected in the multiple charges he now faced. He was charged with 4 counts of murder, including the death of Precious's unborn child, 2 counts of felonious assault, 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of domestic violence, tampering with evidence, weapons charges, and unauthorized use of a vehicle. His bond was set at $1 million.
A Dayton man accused of a teenager and a pregnant woman is now in custody here in Cleveland after he tried to run from police. Authorities say they were chasing a stolen car when the suspect, 32-year-old Nicole Cunnigan Jr., got out and ran off. He was later found in an abandoned home and taken into custody. Cunnigan had an active warrant for in Dayton.
The news that Nico was behind bars brought a glimmer of relief to the families of the victims, but the pain was far from over. Precious's brother, Thomas, made a public statement addressing the years of suffering his family had endured at the hands of Nico. He emphasized how the justice system had failed to protect Precious, a woman who had survived a brutal attack from Nico just 2 years earlier, only for him to be released on parole and return to her life with deadly consequences. As the summer of 2024 approached, the wheels of justice began to turn. In August 2024, the trial of Nicole Cunnigan Jr. began. It would last 4 days, and the courtroom was filled with the families of the victims, each one waiting anxiously for justice to be served. The prosecution's case was strong. They outlined Nico's violent history, including the 2022 stabbing of Precious. They presented evidence of premeditation, control, and a pattern of violence. Text messages between Precious and Nico were read aloud in court, including one in which Nico reassured her, "I would never kill you," just months before he murdered her.
Well, the jury trial continues for a man facing more than 10 charges accused of both Precious Taste and Deontay Johnson back in May of 2024.
Nicole Nico Cunnigan appeared once again in the case that now enters day 3 as we learn more about the messages between him and Precious before the crime. 2 News reporter Sartaj Singh joins us now live outside of Montgomery County's Common Pleas Court. Sartaj, you listened to the coroner as well as the detective that shared text messages with the court. What can you tell us about that?
Brooke and Jack, today's trial really focused on the autopsy report, but also, as you just mentioned there, the messages that show Precious was worried before the day of the crime arrived. Now, the presentation showed that Precious and allegedly Cunnigan had a lengthy conversation through text. Day 3 dived into autopsy results, as well as more details on the bullets found at the scene. All the bullets that were found at the scene were confirmed to have been fired from the same gun. Those details were confirmed by an expert from the Hamilton County Coroner's Office Crime Lab, but 2 more bullets were found not on the scene.
But in Miss Taste and Mr. Johnson's autopsies, were there bullets recovered?
Yeah, there's 1 in each.
2 bullets were located in Deontay Johnson and Precious Taste. For Taste, a bullet was found in her neck. The deputy coroner in Montgomery County says that the bullet found its way there from being shot at a higher angle.
The barrel of the weapon is above that as it goes in, because the direction of this one is front to back, right to left, and downwards. That means that the barrel, when it was fired, had to be above the head going down.
So if somebody was going down a stairwell, it would be consistent with somebody above them on the stairwell?
It could, yes.
The cause of death was also confirmed for both victims.
Did you come to a conclusion as to what the cause of death of Miss Taste was?
Yes, I did.
And what was that?
There's multiple.
Did you come to a conclusion in relation to the cause of death of Mr. Johnson?
I did.
And what was that conclusion?
Multiple.
An age was also determined for Taste's unborn child.
The fetus was 4.5 inches long, 131 grams, and when I plugged that in, it came back to about 14 to 15 weeks.
A detective from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office also shared text messages from Precious Taste's phone. Over 50 pages of text were shared to the courtroom. The messages are alleged to be between Precious and Cunnigan. The text from Miss Taste went to a number with the name Baby on it, but she referenced it as Nico multiple times. In one text exchange, Precious said that she knew that he had a gun and showed worry that she would be. The response from what the state says is Cunnigan replies with, "He gave it to me because I said I need to protect my family." Another message sent to Precious reads, "I would never kill you." Now, the state did rest today in the case, and the jury was dismissed early for today. Tomorrow, we will hear closing arguments before they hand this off to the jury to deliberate on a verdict. Live in Dayton, Sartaj Singh, 2 News.
Witnesses also took the stand, including Juwan Lauren Washington, who was in the house at the time of the attack. Her testimony painted a vivid picture of the chaos that unfolded that morning. She recalled the sounds of arguing between Precious and Nico, followed by the crash of glass, gunfire, and Precious's desperate pleas for her life.
Boom, the window, and then you hear Precious Taste yell, "Nico, why the you keep doing that to the window?" "My bad, I didn't mean to do that to the window." Pow, 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 pow. And she starts screaming, and then that's when I get up and run to the basement, and you still hear the throughout the house.
Surveillance footage from a neighbor's home showed Nico looking into the bedroom window before he returned, armed, and fired the fatal shots. It was clear from the evidence that Nico had murdered both Precious and Deontay in cold blood. But the defense tried to argue that Deontay had a gun in his hand, possibly suggesting self-defense, a claim the prosecution quickly shot down. After deliberating for 5 hours, the jury returned with their verdict. He was found guilty on all 10 counts.
A verdict has been reached in the Nico Cunnigan trial. A jury has found him guilty on all charges, which include 3 counts of. We go now live to 2 News reporter Sartaj Singh outside the Montgomery County Common Pleas Court. Sartaj, you have followed this trial all week, and now that verdict has been reached.
That's right, Brooke. Now, the verdict just came over, I think, under an hour ago, and pretty much he was found guilty on all counts for the of Deontay Johnson, Precious Taste, and the unborn child of Precious Taste. Now, I was able to talk to family members after they heard the verdict, and they told me that they were happy that justice is served. All of them were out here hugging and emotional after a stressful week. One family member told me that even though that hole in their hearts will always be there, they are happy to have closure in this case. They also shared that they have been waiting for some type of closure for more than a year after that dark night of May of 2024. Now, a sentencing date has been scheduled for August 29th, and the judge revoked his bond that is currently being placed on him, and there is a pre-sentence investigation also underway before his sentencing date once again on August 29th. Reporting live in Dayton, Sartaj Singh, 2 News.
The families of the victims erupted in tears and relief. The jury had found Nico Cunnigan Jr. responsible for the brutal murders of Precious, Deontay, and her unborn child. As the verdict was read aloud, the families gathered outside the courtroom, embracing each other. Nico, who had maintained his innocence throughout the trial, was sentenced to 39 years to life in prison. His actions had taken 3 lives, destroyed families, and left an indelible scar on the community. The day of Nicole Cunnigan Jr.'s sentencing arrived on August 29, 2025. Marking the end of a long and painful journey for the families of Precious Taste and Deontay Johnson. After months of waiting, they finally stood before the court, ready to see justice served. As the families entered the courtroom, the weight of the moment was palpable. For them, the trial was not just about a verdict, but about finding a sense of closure after losing loved ones in such a senseless and violent manner. With the sentencing approaching, the air was thick with anticipation. The court listened intently as the prosecutor read through the charges: murder, felonious assault, domestic violence, and more. Nico had been convicted on all counts, and the time had come for him to face the consequences of his actions. The judge's gavel came down with a resounding thud as the sentence was delivered. Nicole Cunnigan Jr. was sentenced to 39 years to life in prison, a sentence that would ensure he would never again walk free. The decision was a bittersweet victory for Precious's and Deontay's families, who had waited more than a year for this moment. While the sentence would never bring their loved ones back, it provided some semblance of justice and accountability.
First tonight, a case that dates back to May of 2024 now finally comes to a close as Nico Cunnigan was sentenced to 39 years to life.
Cunnigan was indicted for the murder of Precious Taste and her unborn child, as well as 16-year-old Deontay Johnson. 2 News reporter Sartaj Singh joins us live from outside the courthouse. Sartaj, you heard from the victim's family as well as Cunnigan. What did they say?
Jack and Kelly, the family was just sending a message of emotion as they also addressed Nico, saying he could have walked away from all of this. Meanwhile, Nico addressed the court, still claiming that he is innocent. As Nico Cunnigan slouches in his chair before hearing his sentence, he sits there knowing that he was found guilty on multiple charges, including. The case dates back to May of 2024, where police arrived to find Precious Taste and Deontay Johnson at a home on Shaftesbury. During proceedings, the state claimed that Nico can be seen on video, talking through a window and then firing. A jury found him guilty. Before the sentencing, Precious's brother had a chance to address the court.
You took a beautiful soul. All the tough talk that you did, you wasn't tough enough to walk away.
Thomas emotional as he addressed the court, and Nico specifically.
After she asked you to leave her alone, she just walked away, bro. No fish in the sea. You ended your life, hers. You didn't care about your kids. They say forgive and forget. I ain't gotta forgive you, I'm just gonna forget about you, bro. Because that's what it is.
Cunnigan having a chance to address the court,
I'm innocent.
where he delivered a message that he thinks he is innocent.
I just want to say I appreciate my family for the support, all my loved ones who got my back. I love my kids, they're going to be took care of regardless of what happens. God don't put nobody through nothing they can't handle.
A sentence of 39 years to life was then handed down, Nico leaving the courtroom, exchanging words with his as well as the victim's family.
I love you so bad.
Let's go. Now, Precious's brother did share that they're trying to get a street sign as well in honor of Precious. In Dayton, Sartaj Singh, 2 News.
As Nico was escorted out of the courtroom, he exchanged words with his family, but there was no remorse in his eyes. His claim of innocence had been disproven, and the evidence against him was undeniable. Precious's family could only look on, knowing that while Nico's life behind bars was certain, the healing process for their family would take much longer. The emotional toll of the trial, the years of violence, and the senseless loss of 2 loved ones had left deep scars on both families. Precious's 7 children were now without their mother, a fact that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Her 4-year-old twins, who had been in the house that morning, would grow up without the nurturing love of their mother or their father. The grief of losing her was compounded by the loss of the unborn child she had been carrying. Deontay Johnson's family also struggled to cope with his death. As a 16-year-old, Deontay had so much potential. He was a talented young man who loved fashion, music, and making people laugh. His mother, Jennifer Lewis, couldn't comprehend how a night of staying over at a close family friend's house turned into a tragedy that took the life of her son. She had seen Deontay grow into a bright, loving teenager, someone with a future ahead of him, but in an instant, that future was ripped away from her. Jennifer spoke out, making sure her son's story was told. She reminded everyone that Deontay had been an innocent bystander in the tragic events that unfolded that morning. In the media frenzy surrounding Precious's death, it seemed like Deontay's name was being overshadowed by the violence of the domestic dispute. But for Jennifer, Deontay's life had value, and it was important that the world remembered him not just as a casualty of someone else's drama, but as a teenager with dreams and a bright future. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the Dayton community rallied around the families of Precious and Deontay. Both families mourned their losses and found support in each other, attending vigils and holding memorials in honor of their loved ones. Precious's favorite color, purple, filled the sky during a balloon release in her memory. The sight of purple balloons drifting into the air symbolized the love and the pain of losing someone so cherished. The funeral for Precious was attended by a large crowd, many of whom hadn't seen each other in years but came together to pay their respects. Friends, family, and loved ones danced and laughed through tears as they celebrated Precious's life. For 7 children, her passing marked the end of a chapter they would never recover from. Her 4-year-old twins, who had been in the house that morning, would grow up without the nurturing love of their mother or their father. The grief of losing her was compounded by the loss of the unborn child she had been carrying. Deontay Johnson's funeral was equally heartbreaking. His mother, Jennifer Lewis, stood at the front, surrounded by family. Deontay's classmates, teammates, and friends gathered to honor a bright young man who had so much potential. He was the kid everyone gravitated toward, the one who could make you laugh even on the darkest days. But now, his life had been tragically cut short. For Jennifer, the pain of losing her son was only compounded by the fact that Deontay had been an innocent bystander, a victim of the escalating violence between Nico and Precious. The case highlights the dangers of domestic violence and the importance of holding those who commit such heinous acts accountable. It also serves as a stark reminder of how a violent criminal history can be overlooked, allowing someone dangerous to slip through the cracks and cause irreversible harm. As for Nicole Cunnigan Jr., his life is forever altered. He will spend the rest of his days in prison facing the consequences of his actions. He had taken 3 lives, Precious, her unborn child, and Deontay, and irreparably harmed many others in the process. But the families of Precious, Deontay, and their children will continue to grieve, knowing that the scars of this tragedy will never fade. The memory of those lost that day will never be forgotten. Precious and Deontay may no longer be here, but their legacy lives on through the love and support of those who knew them. As we reflect on this case, we're left with profound questions about the cycles of violence that affect so many families. Nico Cunnigan Jr.'s actions are a stark reminder of how unchecked anger and unresolved issues can lead to irreversible harm. The case also calls attention to the justice system's failure to adequately protect victims and ensure that dangerous individuals do not reoffend. In the end, Precious and Deontay's stories are a tragic but important reminder of the importance of seeking help, breaking free from toxic relationships, and holding those who commit violent crimes accountable. Their memories and the lessons learned from their deaths should continue to inspire all of us to take action and support those in need. May their souls rest in peace, and may their families find the strength to move forward. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.